Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, Boy in a Tree, and on this channel I talk about my first book, Joshua Tree, and the second book, Joshua Tree Finds Peace. And today I'm talking about chapters 20 through 23, and man, we are making our way quickly through the second book. There's about like 40-something chapters in this book, but yeah, we're making our way decently through it. So eventually I'm going to be making a fun video with a friend, but you know, we'll get there eventually. But okay, so chapters 20 through 23 though, so a lot happened here. So Nicholas at this point he's still weak. Because when I talked about him in the other videos, he was just weak and dying on a couch in Kate Iris's house. Now he's made his way out of the house. He kind of stumbled away, so he's not at the hospital where Kate Iris assumed he would be, because Alistair told her that, but he tricked her. So Nicholas is just stumbling around, trying to replenish his energy, his grace, just his soul, whatever, his energy. And he's doing it in probably the most ugly way, in the kind of Gene Tree way. You'd understand if you know how Gene Tree is right now. She's kind of a monster. Nicholas is doing it the Gene Tree way. He's replenishing his energy, and it's not pretty. So then we flash to Jonathan, and so Jonathan and Joshua Tree, they are together with Lizzie and Kate Iris in the back of the van, and they're speeding. Jonathan he saw his kids, they disappeared, and he's just, because he's afraid of what's happening at the hospital, he's speeding towards the hospital. He gets there within minutes. And then he just sprints. He doesn't even take the key. He doesn't turn off the van, the ignition or anything. He runs off and he goes into the hospital, and Joshua Tree goes sprinting after him. And then we flash to Lizzie and Kate Iris. And so Kate Iris is unconscious in the van with Lizzie. And yeah, that's where they're at right now. And then Jonathan and they're running into the hospital, and that's where chapter 20 ends. And now chapter 21, Nicholas, so he recovers. He he does something horrible to a nice little family. He's really messed up, but he's just, he wants to recover, and he does what he has to do. All right, well, he murders basically a family. And and then he gets his energy back, and then he has a connection to Kate Iris because of the curse on Kate Iris, and he uses that to find out where she is. He can't totally see or understand what's going on because she's unconscious, so he can't really understand what's going on, but he still gets an idea he senses where she generally is, and he goes to go find her. So Lizzie is still with Kate Iris. But this part is cool. So Gene Tree, because Lizzie again has the power to manipulate emotions, which gives her kind of generally the feeling of like everyone's emotions around her. So she always has to kind of like keep it like, I don't know, at bay, dormant inside of her, so she doesn't overwhelm her feeling everyone's emotion. But she feels Gene Tree. Gene Tree's anger, because again, Gene Tree right now she's a monster, literally, and she senses that anger, and Gene just out of nowhere, and then Gene Tree just goes sprinting by the van, in front of the van, and so Lizzie freaks out and goes after her. She gets out of the van and she goes running after her, and that's chapter 21. Chapter 22. So Tree's still following Jonathan into the hospital, and then once Joshua Tree gets to the room, he sees, I'm trying to remember the whole scene, he sees Jonathan holding his wife, I think, in the bed, and then Alistair is like in a corner holding the kids, or just just with the kids next to him. And then Lizzie, so then we flash to Lizzie, and Lizzie's fighting Gene Tree. This is a pretty, this is a big climax in the story. I feel like it's just, this hospital was, the goal of Alistair to get everybody kind of together. because it's just it's a big part of the story. It's just Alistair's trying to get mainly to Joshua Tree, but there's still other characters that he's trying to get to, and he's just trying to bring everyone together. It's not necessarily his plan, it's his boss's plan, which he's a demon, so you can assume who his boss is. So the plan is starting to come together, and everybody's starting to get in one area, and so that's happening. So Lizzie's fighting Gene Tree right now to try and just stop Gene Tree, because Lizzie knows that Gene Tree is a monster, and I've talked about this before, that Lizzie wants to get rid of Gene Tree because she's dangerous. That's chapter 22. Chapter 23, so Kate Iris actually wakes up. We flash to Kate Iris's point of view now, and Kate Iris actually finally comes out of her unconsciousness from the fight, and she gets out of the van, and she sees just suddenly now, because we're at her point of view, she sees that the hospital is destroyed. It's like ruins right now. It's just destroyed. and what? what happened? And so she makes her way through the ruins of the hospital. That's the end of chapter 23. Right before that, she sees Jonathan and Joshua Tree standing in the ruins of the hospital, and she sees that Jonathan has a gun pointed at Joshua Tree. And then he shoots the gun at Joshua Tree. What? Why? Well, we'll find out later. I'll talk about that in another video. And that's generally chapter 20 through 23. I'm just gonna leave it there. And so I appreciate it if you buy my first book, Joshua Tree, and then the sequel, Joshua Tree Finds Peace. Stay connected. And that's it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.